A lot of hype these days around hybrid athletes. And I want to take a few minutes to talk about the different adaptations that you need to know as a hybrid athlete. But before we do that, I want to dive into what exactly a hybrid athlete is. In my mind, hybrid athlete is someone who's well-rounded in all aspects of fitness. And while they may be an athlete who competes in races and different events, in my mind, a true hybrid athlete is an athlete of life. So you don't get too niched into one specific aspect of fitness. You have a well-rounded approach to fitness that encompasses all nine of these adaptations that we're about to talk about. With that being said, let's dive into the first training adaptation that you need to know as a hybrid athlete. First adaptation is strength. So think maximal force output. So how heavy can you do a squat for a single rep or bench press, right? So generally the way you're going to train this is you can do low reps, high rest, and you want to be pushing hard, but not necessarily quite to failure. So Andy Galpin has a really good protocol for this. Call it the 3 to 5 Andy Galpin protocol. And what it is 3 to 5 days a week. You're going to do 3 to 5 exercises of 3 to 5 sets each, 3 to 5 reps in each set, and between each set, you're going to take 3 to 5 minutes of rest. And all of these sets are going to be reasonably close to failure with heavy weights. So generally, you're looking at somewhere around 80 to 90, 95, or even close to 100% of your 1 rep max. If you're doing 100%, you're probably going a little lower. Obviously, you're looking at single rep, and still, you're going to get the adaptation there. Moving on from there, second adaptation, hypertrophy. This is what many gym bros are training when they're in the gym getting pumped up. This is your sets of 6 reps to maybe even 30, some studies showing 50 now. And the main adaptation that we're chasing here is to increase muscle size. So key principle here for training this, you've got to be pushing close to failure. As I said, the rep range can be huge, anywhere from 6 to maybe even up to 50. But if you're not getting close to failure, most studies showing 1, 2 reps in reserve, if not 2 failure, you're not going to be getting the full benefits of the adaptation that you're chasing. Third protocol that we want to be chasing after adaptation, speed. Okay, so this is the ability to move your body through space at a maximal velocity for a shorter period. Again, we're going to go back to the Andy Galpin 3 to 5 protocol here. Works out slightly different, but same general principles. So we want to be keeping this a little bit submaximal, which is different than strength. In strength, we can be going to failure or almost failure. With speed, we still want to be doing 3 to 5 times a week, 3 to 5 exercises, 3 to 5 sets each, 3 to 5 minutes in between. Very important that we're getting fully recovered between each set in order to maximize these. And one of the kind of interesting things about these workouts is that because you're keeping it submaximal and you're not trying to gas yourself out on each set, you should feel like you have something left in the tank. You should have a good amount left in the tank at the end of each set. Okay, adaptation number 4, power. So you can think of this as speed times force. So your ability to move explosively, move objects quickly through space. Again, pretty similar to speed, we're going to go with the 3 to 5 protocol, the Andy Galpin 3 to 5 protocol to train this. So you're looking for 3 to 5 days a week, 3 to 5 exercises, 3 to 5 sets each, 3 to 5 reps per exercise, and 3 to 5 minutes in between each set. Now, the big difference here versus strength is that the weight is going to be much lighter. So if you listen to Andy Galpin, he's saying 30 to 50%, depending on the movement, sometimes a little higher. The important thing is not adding the weight each week. It's that you're progressively moving this weight faster. If you're able to move more weight at the same speed, that's great. That's an adaptation too. But the important thing here is that we're working on our ability to move weight quickly. And again, very similar to speed here, this is not maximal work. There's a quote, I believe, from Andy Galpin. He said on the Huberman podcast that it might even feel like you're not working out when you do this. And I do some power training and I fully resonate with this. You can still see great benefits even though you're not gassing yourself out. So one other point here, if you're going to do this, I'd recommend doing it as its own workout or at the start of your workouts. If you're doing it at the end of a hypertrophy or strength session, you're probably not going to get the full adaptations you want because you're already going to be tired and you're not going to be able to produce maximal power, which is what we want to be seeing. Okay, adaptation number 5, muscular endurance. Think about max reps here instead of maximum weight. So a lot of body weight movements can be good examples here. So push-ups, burpee broad jumps, lunges for reps. If you're training for high rocks, this is probably the adaptation that is most specific to you on the strength side. Very important to build this up for high rocks. In my opinion, it is much more important to have strong muscular endurance over maximal strength or hypertrophy. When you're doing high rocks, almost everything you're doing is, in terms of the stations, very high rep. If you think lunges, burpees, we're absolutely hammering out reps, probably well above the 50 that we're looking at for the high end of hypertrophy. Okay, number 6, we're starting to get into the cardio adaptations here. So anaerobic, this is very short, not enough oxygen to use as fuel. So you're looking at a timeline of under 60 seconds, all out sprint sort of thing. To train this, you're going to be looking to do, again, very short efforts, so under 60 seconds, and allow yourself a full rest. So, somewhere in the ballpark of 5 minutes. This is not comfortable at all to train. To be honest, it sucks, but there's great adaptations to be had here. Next adaptation, number 7, we've got maximal aerobic capacity. So think VO2 max. This is going to be with oxygen. What you're looking for is the maximum ability for the body to consume oxygen here. So in terms of a timeline, you're looking at 4 to 15 minutes of all out, but consistent effort. So when you're training this, there's lots of ways to do it. One very popular one is Norwegian 4x4 protocol. So 4 sets, 4 sets, 4 minutes each, and you've got 4 minutes in between each set. The goal here is that whatever metric you're using to judge how fast you're going, how hard you're working, that needs to be consistent from the start of the first interval to the end of the first interval, and you're keeping the same pace from the first interval to the second interval to the third to the fourth. But at the end of that fourth interval, you should feel like you have absolutely nothing left to give. Okay? Again, this is absolutely brutal. This is not fun to do, but it does produce results. Okay, second last adaptation here, we have steady state. So you can think zone 2. Longer efforts, you're talking about probably 20 plus minutes at least, and you should be able to maintain a conversational you should be able to maintain a conversation while doing this kind of work. So again, it doesn't matter what the modality is. but you want to keep a fairly consistent effort level all the way through. Uh, so think long zone two runs, zone two bikes, even on the ergs for high rocks athletes, absolutely a great thing to do. Maybe a 30-minute ski or row. Great adaptations to have here. And key benefits to doing this steady state zone two effort is you're going to see more fat oxidation. So what that means is that your mitochondria, your cells, instead of just using carbs as their preferred fuel source, they're going to be able to use fat at higher paces, which is going to allow you to pace yourself more evenly throughout races and similar events. Okay, the final adaptation, and I think this is a pretty underrated one. It's a little different than all the others. The final adaptation is skill and technique. So this is your ability to execute movements efficiently. We're looking mostly for adaptations from the nervous system. This isn't about growing the biggest muscles or being able to suck in more oxygen. Uh, this is something that you improve very intentionally. You know, as you're working out, you have to be intentional in order to improve this by looking at exactly what you're doing. Videoing yourself can be an awesome way to work on this. It's pretty hard to do it without if you can't see your technique, or an alternative, have someone who knows the technique watch you and critique and give you feedback. And then next time you're doing it, take that in and you should be able to start building neurological adaptations. And has a carryover for a lot of different movements. So for example, think running. If you have a more efficient stride and you don't have to work as hard to maintain the same pace as someone else, even if that person has the same cardiac ability as you, you're at an advantage. You're going to be able to run faster. Again, same thing here for heavy lifts. If you're trying to do a maximal squat, bench, deadlift, that kind of thing, or even more clear with Olympic lifts that are incredibly complex. If you can execute the movement better than someone else, you're going to be able to do all of the previous 8 adaptations better. With that being said, I hope you have some takeaways here that you can apply into your training. And I want to make it very clear that you don't have to do all of these at once. You can periodize here. You can focus on one or a couple of these at once. And for some of them, maybe it's just about adding a little bit. I do a little bit of power work with my burpee broad jumps to train for high rocks. It's not a key component, but it helps a little. It gives a little boost. And I can say that from my race experience, it's worked. Burpee broad jumps went from one of my weakest stations to one of my strongest. Finally, if you're not sure exactly how to implement all these different protocols, I've built an app designed for hybrid athletes. It'll build you a custom plan tailored to your needs to help you unlock your best fitness potential. If you're interested, no pressure, but there's a link in the description. Feel free to take a look. It comes with a 1-week free trial.